And joining me now is Michael J. Fox. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
You've been very busy these days. You've been campaigning for Claire McCaskill in Missouri. You have ads out for the Wisconsin governor's race and also for the Democratic candidate for Senate in Maryland. Tell me why you've decided to do this.
It's a long story. It goes back to 2000 when we first became aware of the potential of this science. And I remember in 2000 I wrote a letter to then Governor Bush asking him to come through on his promise of compassionate conservatism and support this work when he got into office. And then he did, and then he limited the stem cell lines in 2001. I was involved then. I was involved in the elections in 2002, supported even Republican candidates who were pro-stem cell, and continued to do this work, and then found myself now this summer when the president vetoed the H.R. 810, which was the legislation to expand stem cell research, and with his one veto of his presidency, chose to veto that, and really really stung the hearts of a lot of people that were counting on this. I knew that I'd be involved in 2006, and so here I am.
When you did the campaign ad for Claire McCaskill, I've interviewed you on a number of occasions, but tell us what you were experiencing that day and what we were seeing as a result.
Well, on any given day, I have a thousand different things that I can feel, and I go through a million cycles over the course of a day. For example, right now, this is a dearth of medication. Not by design. I just take it and it kicks in when it kicks in. Sometimes it kicks in too hard, and then you get what's called dyskinesias, which is that rocking motion that I had when I did the commercial.
From side to side, and that's actually caused by the medication?
It's caused by the medication. What happens is I'm 15 years out from diagnosis, so one of the problems with medication, one of the reasons we're looking for cures, particularly to Parkinson's, is that the medication only has an efficacy that lasts for so long, and then at a certain point it ceases to work, or it works with horrible side effects, which are the dyskinesias that you see. But on any given day, I can't design where I'm going to be at any given time. You just take the medication and hope for the best. If it's humid that day, if you've got stress that day, if you eat the wrong thing, you have too much protein that doesn't kick in, it's just part of living with this. So it's funny that the notion that you could calculate it for effect is, people with Parkinson's out there were just kind of going, yeah, would that we could.
In fact, Rush Limbaugh suggested that you had failed to take your medication intentionally. So when you did that ad, you'd be more symptomatic and therefore more sympathetic.
Yeah, the irony of it is that I was too medicated and was dyskinesic. Because the thing about being symptomatic is it's not comfortable. Nobody wants to be symptomatic. It's like wanting to hit yourself with a hammer. You want at all times to be as comfortable as you can be. And at this point now, if I didn't take medication, I wouldn't be able to speak. I have a mask face. I wouldn't be able to speak, and I'd lock up and freeze and wouldn't be able to move. So there's no time that I'm not medicated. It's just a matter of titrating the medication to make sure it works as best as it can for whatever I want to do at that given time. It's constantly throughout the day I'm kind of saying, well, I'm going to do something at 2 o'clock. So from about 10 o'clock on, it's all towards getting to where I need to be at 2 o'clock. It's kind of stuff that people with Parkinson's live with every day.
Could you have waited to do that ad when you had less dyskinesia, for example?
Well, when do you know that's going to be? You don't know when that's going to be. So what you hope for is when you're talking about a room full of people and a crew, and it's funny, my mother was visiting me that day, was in the back room, and she was saying throughout the filming of it, she was talking to my friends back there, and she was saying, he's trying so hard to be still. And so she was the one, actually, when the comments were made, she was the only one that I talked to that was really angry. And she said, I can't even see straight. I said, Mom, just relax, it's okay. Don't worry about it. But, yeah, it's just not that simple. That's why we're doing this. Not only people with Parkinson's, but, people that have spinal cord injury, people that, have the ticking clock of ALS, or they waste away, kids who are born with juvenile diabetes, I mean, there potentially is answers for those people. And we don't, we're not interested in being exhibitionists with our symptoms or asking for pity or anything else. We're just resolved to get moving with this science. It's been a long time. It's not a time-neutral situation. It's not something that we can sit back and abstractly talk about. While people are talking about, there's people attached to this issue, which is one of the reasons I did this. It's not necessarily the most comfortable thing for me to do or necessarily what I want to be doing. I got 4 kids. I like to be spending time with them, but if it takes seeing a face that people recognize, they say, hey, I know that guy, maybe they'll realize that they know other people. There's 100 million Americans that are either touched by incurable illness or know somebody who has incurable illness or love somebody who has incurable illness. It's 100 million Americans. And of most of the American population, 70% are in favor of this research because they know what it means. But what happens is you get toward election time and things fall away. And my hope was by being that guy that people would say, hey, I know that guy, that we'd 14 days out from election be talking about stem cells. And we are. And I'm greatly gratified. And if that means taking a beating from that faction of the media, that's fine. That's, if the bringing the message means the messenger gets roughed up a little bit, I'm happy to be that guy.
What was your reaction when you saw Rush Limbaugh pretty much imitating you on his radio show? I know that played in.
I didn't see it.
On many media outlets. You haven't seen it?
No, I heard about it, but it's one of those things. When I heard about it, I just my first thought was, no, you're kidding me. And then I thought, well, I knew there'd be a swift reaction from some quarters. And the thing and I knew there'd be that celebrity tag, which always kills me because the people who throw that celebrity tag around are themselves such huge celebrities and incredibly well-paid celebrities, and really have no more God-given right to have the platform than I do or any American does. We all have a right to speak up and say what we think is right, and we all have a right to fight for the things that we believe in. And I believe that science should move forward in this country. Science is a big part of the American story, and we need to start writing a new chapter. We've sat on our hands for 8 years and ignored some really critical science. And, I just think it's time we had a conversation about it and said, what are the implications of this? What kind of faith do we have in our scientists? Why are we not trusting them? Why are we not trusting our own morality as a nation, our own sense of ethics, to oversee this, to do the right thing by it, and to move forward and to help people?
Rush Limbaugh, I contacted him because I wanted to fairly represent what he was saying, because he believes that that clip was played and his real issues were not represented. So he told me, I called Rush Limbaugh and he told me, I believe Democrats have a long history of using victims of various things as political spokespeople because they believe they are untouchable, infallible. They are immune from criticism. He went on to say, Michael J. Fox is stumping for Democrats in the political arena and is therefore open to analysis and criticism, as we all are.
Well, first thing, he used the word victim, and in another occasion I heard he use the word pitiable. And understand, nobody in this position wants pity. We don't want pity. I could give a damn about Rush Limbaugh's pity or anyone else's pity. I'm not a victim. I'm someone who's in this situation. I think I'm in this situation along with millions of other Americans, whether it's, like I said, for Parkinson's or Alzheimer's or ALS or diabetes or spinal cord injury or what have you. And we have a right, if there's answers out there, to pursue those answers with the full support of our politicians. And so I don't need anyone's permission to do that. As far as Democrat politics go, it's kind of funny because the argument that I heard from that quarter was first that I was manipulating it and that I was a con man, essentially, that I didn't have the symptoms and was putting them on, so I was perpetrating a fraud. And then when he backed off that, then it became that I was a dupe of a shill for the Democrats and I was being exploited. And the truth is, I've been involved in this issue since 2000.